All right, folks, we've got a very special guest in the building with us today. He's a proud Chicago native and a former standout diver for Howard University, who's now come full circle as the assistant coach for Howard's swimming and diving program. His passion and leadership have been instrumental in helping shape the next generation of Bison athletes. Y'all give a big welcome to Courtney Miller. What's up, cousin?
Hey, what's happening, coach?
Good. See, he does that. He does that. Rodney doesn't like that.
I'm unfamiliar with that. That's not my sport. That's not my sport. Hey, Courtney, chill. Hey, man, out the gate, fam. I'm an Aggie, okay?
Everybody had to go somewhere.
Hey, yeah, and I went to the best place that I could, the best place in the land. You already know. So I'm gonna ask you, who got the best homecoming? Is it Howard or is it G-Ho?
Prairie View A&M.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay? You can't say that wearing a Howard shirt, but I respect it. I get the roots of it, but jeez, that's tough.
I'm old school. I road trip.
Okay, so hold on now, Samaria. This is the important conversation. So tell me about Prairie View A&M's homecoming. Now, like, am I missing it out?
No, this is gonna be seen on public. I can't do that.
Respect. Samaria, take us somewhere more professional.
You all right now have the only HBCU swimming and diving program. I know for you all, the mission is Black people can swim. How surreal is it, or do you ever just get chills looking out at your roster and seeing all of these Black and brown faces competing at a high level in swimming and diving?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, myself, coming out of Chicago, this was my way out. Ended up at Howard. And of course, I rep the Mecca and always have and always will. I'll never be able to give back Howard as much as it gave me. But from the perspective of swim and dive, this year we've got 10 divers on deck. I've been around the sport for a few decades now, and I've never seen that many competitive divers in the sport, period. And we've got 10 on the deck. So it's pretty amazing, pretty significant. And these kids, these young people are accountable, they're respectable, and they're proving to the larger community that we're in this to win this. We're just not a token athlete. We're highly trained, highly skilled, highly intelligent, and quite capable and competent to put in that good work. So it does my heart great. It does my heart. That's why I'm still here.
Coaching during the NIL era, even though it's swimming and dive, has to be an interesting experience, right? Do you encourage your athletes, who I do believe are all scholarship athletes, or for the most part, do you encourage them to go out and try to find brand deals?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the business of sport. And here's the thing that I want to not correct, but augment. Most of our athletes that are scholarship athletes are academic scholarship athletes.
Okay.
So we recruit not only fast swimmers, great people, we recruit accomplished students. Our GPA is higher than the schools, higher than the athletic department, because we're very serious about our athletic standing. That said, we are in a branding era. We are in an entrepreneurial era. And these young people use these cell phones, and they create video, movies, they influence. I don't even know any of this stuff, but they make it happen. And if it's all about enhancing the bottom line and growing the community, I'm all in.
Yeah, and for the last few years, you all have made headlines for the history that you all have been able to make. How has your team been able to capitalize off of that?
Well, we've grown in terms of some corporate sponsorships. We have some athletes that have entered into some at the NIL area, and it's created a lot more notoriety. We're able to market our swim meets, and folks coming are willing to pay for entree like they do for basketball and football and other Division I sports. So it's growing the access, which can also enhance the economy of scale. And it's all because these young people, get in.
The city of Washington, D.C., which is a place where I lived for a number of years, historically has been known as Chocolate City. While it may not be that right now, what kind of integration is there between the Howard University swim and diving team and the local community? Because there are so many Black and brown children in the area who could be greatly inspired just by seeing people who look like them in the water.
Well, I was actually looking specifically. Part of what we do is we give back. So almost on a monthly basis, the team does by its own demand something in the community. It's a part of our fabric. It's a part of our culture. So we're doing an event this weekend where we're going out and teaching swim lessons, showing swim access in the pool and on the board. And I was actually looking for the flyer. I know it's in there somewhere. But this is what we do. We were just in Orlando for our winter training. We went down to the historic Eatonville, the oldest incorporated African American community in the country, one of the birthing homes of Zora Neale Hurston, who was also one of the co-founding editors of Howard University Hilltop. And we were given the keys to the city because we spent time with the kids there in that community to let them see a different type of athlete. Young, amazing African American, Caribbean American, continental African American athletes who come from every hue, every state, swim every stroke, and have every major on the squad. So we rep DC through diversity in aquatics, through diversity in dive, and of course through Howard University swim and dive.
No, that is all so amazing. I think, like I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, Black people have this stigma that we don't know how to swim. What are you all doing to kind of help combat that?
Well, we partner with, well, say for instance, our last senior meet, which was last Saturday. We had our stands, a section of our stands was set aside for kids, right? Me personally, I invited a group of three young swimmers that are in middle school to come and just see this event. We participate as supporters to the Black History Swim Meet in Washington, D.C., that'll be in just a week or two. To let people know, we partner with Diversity in Aquatics under the direction of Dr. Marion Lynch, and their board is made up of many of the former African American Olympic swimmers. We just did a major water safety event with them at Morehouse College in Atlanta, and had kids from that community, young people from that community, come out and got to interact with Olympians and swim in a swim meet. We broadened. We'll be in Grenada this summer, doing not only swimming but getting folks into lessons teaching water safety instruction, open water swimming, and lifeguarding. So we're trying to quell the stigma that we don't swim, and then reposition it with not only do we swim, but we do it with excellence and greatness.
When I was a youth, I did everything, right? I played every sport and I swam for the Orange Stingrays. I just didn't like the little tights. I ain't like the tights.
Oh,
But uh, in every sport that I played, I ain't like them, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a chill. Every
Okay.
sport that I played, right, has certain mechanics that a coach from a different team would see and would say, "Yo, I could use that thing you do very well on the basketball court on the soccer field, or your hand-eye coordination in baseball. I think would really make you a phenomenal quarterback." And I'm wondering, from your perspective, is there any mechanic of any other sport that you think translates well to the water?
yeah, and I'm going to narrow it in and be specific. So I deal primarily now with divers, right? So what we're doing to grow the sport is that we're going to youngsters that are doing gymnastics, that are doing double mini
Mm.
trampoline, that are doing cheerleading, that are doing tumbling, because just that aerobat, that sense of flipping and turns translates well. So, and that's a way to grow the sport. In the water, endurance runners make good swimmers. Coach Nick was a two-star MVP. He was a tennis player. It's a lonely sport in that you're in there with yourself. So it causes you to center in a lot, but it's also a heavily cardio sport. Our One of our strongest freshman divers was a swimmer last year, and but he's also a physics major. So the understanding of the water and the body and the stroke translated wonderfully to the boards because that understanding of physics, he can dissect a angles and talk about velocities in a way that I've never thought possible. So if you're an athlete, you're just an athlete. You know that you've been an athlete.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
like that.
Samaria be sleeping. She don't be thinking I'm an athlete. I'm like, bruh, I'm an older gentleman. I be out here killing these young boys out there on that basketball court and flag football field. Still,
I believe him. I
still.
believe him. I believe him. He got the look.
Th-
I don't know if he got
Thank
the
you.
game, but he got the look.
Hey, you gotta relax. Not too much. Not too much.
All right, Coach, let's go back to representation. 2024 Paris Olympics. We got to see history made there. They had the first Black head coach for swimming and diving. Also, of course, we see Simone Manuel. She's been killing it for the past decade, but she said that she doesn't like to be the only person that looks like her. How much is your program doing to impact that and make a difference in that?
Well, it's like anything else. You have to grow at levels, and then you have to grow not only at levels, but you have to grow across the board. As a note, and I bring this up because I'm probably the only one around old enough to remember, when I was, in the sport on the collegiate level, we had the Black National Championships. It was Howard, A&T, Bennett, Florida A&M, South Carolina State, Tennessee State, Coppin Morgan, Alabama A&M. And so, you could imagine, we all got together and we swam each other because that was our championship. And many of those people who have gone on to be captains of industry invest back in the sport in a developmental way. So we got to keep hammering at it. We got to keep hammering at it. 5 years ago, Mike Wright, who was the assistant coach at the University of Tennessee, where he was the first Black to win the NCAA championship, posted a picture at the beginning of the pandemic when they were asking these same questions. And the picture was very, very unique. It was Mike Wright, who was the president, who was the assistant coach at an SEC school in diving. It was me, who, like to think I've been around coaching diving probably the longest in the NC2A. The diver on the board was a young man of color who just graduated from the University of Miami Law School. The lifeguard was a brother, and the person who was operating the deck was a brother. And he posted the picture, and he said, "This is Black history." So we're evolving, we're moving, we're growing, and we're not new to this. We're true to this. We go all the way back to Andrew Young, who was a Howard University swimmer. Togo West, the former Secretary of the Army, Howard University swimmer. And the list goes on and on to show this is who we are. So to answer your question, we keep growing and growing and glowing as we expand our presence on every era, from coaches to trainers to pool operators to divers. We're here to stay.
Got you. My last question for you, and I just got to make mention. So I'm from Irvington, New Jersey. We actually have an Olympic gold swimmer by the name of Cullen Jones who came from where I'm from. And I learned how to swim at the local YMCA. And I remember being in the pool, and I just saw a lot of kids that looked like me. Present day, though, it feels like a lot of the programs that got young kids in the water, I just don't see them as much. It feels like there's a barrier to entry in the world of swimming. As you mentioned, there's so many HBCUs who no longer have swimming programs. And it just seems like there's been a lot of regression in the sport of swimming with having Black faces in the water. For a parent, right? For a modern day parent, man, what's the best way to get their child integrated and ingratiated into the sport of swimming?
Um, Three things. And I'm going to talk about two that I know and one I don't understand. Number one, many of your local park districts, they still have recreational swimming. A lot of these opportunities are free. It's breaking the stigma. Kids still like to get in the water and splash around and jump around and flip around. So using those facilities, barriers to swimming really is just, access to a pool can be very, very difficult. Number two, there's swim teams and swim clubs. Most areas have them. You got to seek them out. Number three, diversity in aquatics. What they do is they bring together swim instructors of color, clubs of color, groups of color that have access to water, and you can find them on Instagram. And then there's this whole Black swim community that I'm learning exists that I never knew existed. So the barriers are there, But when there are barriers to us, what do? We create opportunities. And we can never become so slowful that we forget to be who we are. If you want a kid to learn to swim, you'll find a place to take them to swim. There's no more excuses that we can say never learn to swim, can't catch the rhythm of the stroke, because that's what we do. We do everything because we are Rhythm Nation.
Oh
Oh, I
man, I
love
love that
that. I
answer.
love that.
Respect, brother.
Yeah, huge thanks to Courtney Miller for joining us today, sharing his journey. Y'all be sure to keep an eye out on what he and his team are building over at Howard. And don't forget to leave a comment below letting us know who you would like to see on the next show.
Hey,
Coach, thank you so much again.
If you got kids who are gymnasts or athletes, send them to me. I can get them paid.
Man, I got one kid in college. Samaria's on deck. I got one kid in college and one kid that's a junior. He can't swim for nothing. He can't swim.
But you know us now. You fam now. Send them my way.